Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of diaXpora. I'm your host, Taylor, and today our guest is Joey Nguyen, software engineer at Google. Joey describes himself as an average Joe instead of the top 1% software engineer, as what people think of someone working at Google. He believes that anyone with the right dedication and mindset can make it. In today's episode, we're going to unpack what he means by that. And I'm really excited to learn more about Joey and for you guys to learn more about Joey as well. Welcome, Joey. Welcome to Diaspora. My first question is really generic. Just can you tell us a bit about yourself and how did you come to study in Australia?
Yeah, sure. So, hi. My name is Dewey actually. I go by Joey.
Yeah.
I'm a software engineer at Google. Came from Vietnam, was born and raised in Vietnam. Came into studying and then went through how everyone would go through as an international student, finding a job, getting a visa, and working in the industry. I hope that what I'm going to share today can be beneficial for someone. And as you said, I don't think I'm a top 1% as like how people would think when it comes to like working at big tech companies. I've got a system, I've got the right mindset, I believe, to get me there. So I truly believe that anyone can make it if they follow the right path. I hope that I can share some of that today and it be useful for someone.
Yeah. So what made you come to Australia and what was your first impressions like here?
It wasn't like coming from, I want to change the world or anything of that sort. It was just more like I got bored when I was living in Vietnam, and I went to the uni there for about 2 years, and I didn't think at that time that it would help me to get to where I am, even though I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I knew what I didn't want to end up with, and being in Vietnam and going that route definitely would not get me anywhere that I wanted to end up with. So exploring just being in a different environment and being in a different country, different culture altogether would help that. So that was just that. It was just that
was your thinking, yeah.
Pretty much it's changing the environment, changing like opportunities and stuff like that got me here.
Did you always think of software engineering? You were majoring in software engineering in Vietnam as well?
Yeah. Computer science.
Computer science.
Software engineer is a combined course.
What made you, did you always want to be a coder? Did you code from high school? What made you choose?
Yeah, back in high school, I didn't know that I would aspire to be a software engineer. It was more, I was interested in science, maths, and logical thinking in systems and all that jazz, and creating new stuff, and solving problems, thinking analytically and using that to create solve problems in the world. And through technology is one of the best ways to do that. And I think that what got me into software engineering, because I think software engineer has all the elements that I just described. Is like applying the technical bits, but also the creative side of that into something that be useful to the world, to everyone. And I think that's
what drew you to software engineering.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice. I think that software engineering is becoming such a hot career, but it does start from that interest in solving problems, in analytical thinking, logical thinking, and I think it would fit. If you like that, then it would fit you as a career.
Yeah.
Would you say that when you first came here to study, can you share with me first where did you study when you came to Australia?
Yeah, sure. It was not a very well-known institution. It was just a college. So I've got to say something that I don't think my educational background helped me a lot with advancing my career or got me where I am right now. So when I chose to come to Australia, I didn't care about which uni that I would.
You didn't care about which uni you wanted to go to.
I didn't care because at that point I already knew that I didn't want to go through a traditional kind of like route where you would take on a 4 year course and graduate from that and find a first job. I didn't like that. It didn't work for me. It was more like because I always try to have a goal and then from there unpack real back from there. Like, okay, with that goal, what do I have to know? What skills that I have to have? So I think the traditional university pathway would give you a very like broad or generally uh, kind of pathway structure,
Yeah.
but it's not focused. Not to say that anyone should do exactly what I did, but it's just like what worked for me. So I didn't. It was just I think it's called SAE or quantum college or something.
You don't even remember.
I don't remember.
You don't even remember why
So
you
this is the
went.
memory now. So like it was just a 2 year course. So that what got me was what it gave me was like a way to apply a visa to stay on Australia in Australia after that,
Yeah.
and some sort of certification that I could, maybe put in my CV. But I don't think in all the interviews that I went through, people asked about my degree that I did here. So yeah, I didn't think that I didn't care. It was just a normal
Yeah.
uni college. Yeah.
So you think that which school you went to, which uni you went to, doesn't really matter for your career as a software engineer
Yeah, I think
in Australia?
yeah, I think in general, but it's not an advice for everyone, right? It's just in general, I think if you're driven, if you know what you want, you should work backwards from there. Like this is where you want to be, and if educational system can get you there, then for sure do that. But for me, it didn't because I wanted to. For me, I value hands-on experience, like building stuff while you learn, because that through that you actually can really absorb or like embed and make that part of yourself rather than like when you learn something. For me, when you learn something, you hear about that, it makes sense. But for it to click, I think you need to kind of like get your system to actually exercise it and do it. So for me, that was like I think traditional uni for me didn't work because it's not focused. It's not cater for any specific goal. It helps you build a well-rounded person, like a lot of things, but it's useful for sure, but it's not laser focus for me. Yeah.
So it doesn't really help. Your degree didn't really help in landing your first jobs. How long did it take for you to land your first job when you
I think
came here?
when I came here after the first year, the studying, I got my first job. It's not 100% true that didn't give me any chance to get my first job. Actually, through the college that I went to, I got a lead to my first job because I think the startup, they were looking for students that came on board and help them build a product. They came to my school. My school was specializing in games programming, 3D applications. So they were building an augmented app that as a game. And I went to my school because it's one of the schools that actually taught that subject. And I put my hands up, got that first job. So after a year of going to that college, a
Nice.
part-time job. Yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. So it did help.
It
in
did
some
help
way.
in some way.
Um,
Not the whole lot, but did help.
I see. So you took 1 year to land your first job, and it was through a lead with your school.
Yeah.
How about afterwards when you were finding jobs? Once you have graduated, was it very difficult as an international student? What were some challenges, and how did you kind of overcome them?
Yeah, so for me, I was lucky enough to land my first job before graduating. And I think that opened a lot of doors because I think the first job is one of the hardest one. Like once you got your foot in the door, that's when you got different pathways and different opportunities. So that job actually got me to the second job, full-time job, even before I graduated because in my CV, I've got that experience, the real world experience. And when I applied for the next one, didn't take too long. I think it was just a couple of months. And through the interview, they didn't ask me anything about my GPA or anything like that. It was just like, he was just like, okay, tell me about your experience working at that company. And also because I started my own kind of venture. I wouldn't call it startup. It was just a couple of guys put together some apps to make money, but also like to gain experience, but also helping landing a job. So those experiences like weigh a ton in my CV, not GPA. I didn't put GPA or anything like that in my CV, which is like the experiences that I had, and also like the skill set stemming from that.
Yeah.
And the interviewer said that he was impressed by that, like being a student and trying to get all of that started while you were at school. And he was like, welcome board. So that got me to my second one. And then once I got the second one, it just rolling. It becomes a lot easier, I would say. But the first job was hard. And because I put up my first job at uni, I also got that because the adventure that I just mentioned, that me and my friends started to build stuff. And when I interviewed with the guy who came to the school, they were like, oh, impressive, build the game similar to what we're trying to build. Welcome board as well.
So that also helped you.
That also helps. Yeah.
So can you talk a bit more about that venture? What did you guys build?
We're building apps on the iPhone. So I remember it was like 2010. That was when one of the first iPhones came to the scene, and it was like a game-changing thing. It was like everyone was talking about that, and we're trying to build apps on that. So we were doing the same thing. We were like, that's cool. And like you got all the tools at your disposal. Like it used to be like very hard to kind of build software and then publish it. But with the iPhone, what they built was the ecosystem, and they made the barrier to enter into the markets so low that like you just need to put in the time, put in the effort. So that's what we did. With the intention really was try to make money out of this and maybe build something up. But it was just more like, okay, making money is to support us financially in Australia, living expenses and like pay for the tuition and all that jazz. So building all that, and by me doing that, it's affected my schoolwork as well, which I didn't care. Like I got bad grades, which I didn't care because it was like in my mind I knew what I wanted to get out of this, which is just to graduate from that with a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I didn't even care whether that actually gonna let me. I think it was just like that's gonna be helping me with visa and maybe help me with like getting through recruiter kind of like filtering list or whatever. But it was doing that through that I applied a lot of things that I learned. And that was like something that also weighed a ton in the CV.
Yeah, because you built something.
Pretty much, yeah. And like,
so what was the app about? Was it like
so we were building
it's
games.
a mobile app. Oh, games.
Yeah, on the iPhone. So games on the iPad or games, educational applications like to teach people to learn English. So there was nothing groundbreaking there. It was just like, it was just something that useful to someone, useful enough for them to pay the money.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think back then,
Did you guys make a lot of money from that?
I wouldn't say a lot. How do you define a lot? I would just say like it would cover my living expense in Australia and pay for my school fee as well. So I would say it's good enough.
Yeah.
But like I know a lot of people make a lot more money, like tons of money out of doing things like that. But for me, it was just like, okay, I could create.
You got what you wanted out of it.
Yeah, and I was able to create values, and that's important. Like if you can prove to yourself that you can create value, small or big, and you can get to the next step, like the bigger values and bigger values. No, it works the same way. It's just as long as you can do it, at the larger scale next step.
I think that's the power of software engineering, because if you're a builder and you can build something that helps other people, you do something that people care about, then that's your way of proving your value so quickly. Like you can build it and you can show. It doesn't matter what degree you went to or who you know, or what kind of network you have. You can show the value of your work very visibly. Hey, I built this. You walk people through how you built it.
Yeah, and the tools at your disposal, they almost free and the information is out there. It's free as well. You don't have to go to uni. Again, like not to say don't do that. But
from those first ventures to your first jobs here to now working in Google, what would you say? What would you say were some key things that helped you land your job at Google now? Was it always your dream, and was it difficult to land a job at Google versus at other tech companies? How did you get there?
Yeah, quite a lot to unpack this. I would start from maybe what helped me getting where I am. I think one of the main things is taking ownership of your career. So if you don't do that, like you gotta have clear goals, and that's coming from knowing who you are and what your strengths are and your weaknesses, and then having a goal to give you a north star direction to go, and then having a right system in place to execute it. All those things are important. So I think it was just me having clear goals, and that comes from me always wanting to take control of my life and where I want to go. And like what I said before about not caring about the educational piece is that as well, because I wanted to know. I asked why that, whether that would help me, and that didn't give me a, like going through a traditional background like that. So I was just step back from that. So having clear goals, having ownership of your life, and having the right system in place to execute it, I think those are the most important things. And then from there, you can add on like, you know, how you land a job here and there, but like coming from that mindset, that would help me.
When you say having a system in place, what's the system in place?
Yeah, so how you kind of achieve goals, how do you, like things that you do daily to align with your who you want to be, also getting you to your goals. So I usually separate goals into two categories. One is like the outcome goals and the process goals. So outcome goals are things like, for example, oh, I want to achieve getting $1 million, for example. That's the outcome goal. But to get there, you need to have the right process in place, right? And so that the process goal, for example, to get there, you need to, for example, build a business or work on your business every day for 2 hours, something, or learn about, investing, whatever. Yeah, so every day. So things that you do every day is that process goal.
That helps you get to the outcome that you want.
Pretty much, yes. I try to build all those two at the same time. Every day I would try to make sure that I have the right mindset in the morning, and then define the goals that I want to do in the day using the SMART system.
Oh, SMART goal?
SMART goals.
Specific,
measurable, actionable, realistic, time bound.
Yeah.
So I would go through, like, so I would start so when I say system, basically just really the things that you do daily that would be aligned with your goals, but also get you there. So that's, I used to start with the mindset in the morning, because I think and I will always try to start my day calm as possible. I would start with like 5 minutes of, I wouldn't call it like meditation. Yeah, because I think people do meditation different ways, like, focus on your breathing and like focus on your gratitude or whatever. For me, it was just mainly be mindful, be quiet. Yeah, stay like detach myself from all the noises or the things that guy. Because I used to wake up and like, well, I need to do this, and like getting pulled into different directions, and that's where you don't have control over your day. And if you don't have control over your day, multiply that by a month and year, you don't have control over your year, and that would mean that you don't have control over your destination. So if you have control of your everyday, that accumulates, compounds into like, a bigger thing. So I would start with that just to kind of like anchor myself and be in the driver's seat for that day. And that 5 minutes really just like, I could just try to focus on breathing, or just like let what have come into my mind, but like knowing that, I have control, and I can just like, okay, shut it down, I'll file it away, and I just keep it away. And it just that 5 minutes, just me be calm. And now, then what I would do next is go through, I have a list of like lessons in life, like the mistakes that I made, and the things that I want to remind myself every day. I go through that for 5 minutes. That helped me get the right mindset for the day. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, I think that's very important. Like, if I'm busy, I try to do at least like 1 minute. I would have the timer on, click on that, and just sit there and take a deep breath and 1 minute of silence. And then the next minute, just go through that, just to remind me of the mistakes that I made and things that I want to make sure I remember every day. And then from there, I would plan my day because now I have a right mind in the right frame of mind, and I know, and I'm very select. I'll be selective about the things that I want to spend time on, like whether that align with my goals. Or also, like after that 1 minute of like going through that, I'll look at my goals, but just to remind me, okay, where am I going? And then from there, I can just like pick the task that actually align with that. And then from there, I would make sure I would have enough, like I would have at least 2 focus blocks in the day. When I say focus blocks, at Pomodoro, I don't know if you heard of that.
Yeah.
It's 25 minutes each.
Yes.
Pomodoro or something like that.
Pomodoro technique. Like you have 20-minute.
25 minutes.
25. Okay.
Yeah.
Focus on something and then you stop and then you
Stop for 5.
stop for 5.
And then do that 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And you do 3 of that, and then you would do a longer break. So there's different ways to apply that. For me, I scaled it down to very basics. Like I would have at least 25 minutes set, and then in that 25 minutes, I would have a clear goal using the SMART system, because from there you can actually know whether you can work out whether in that 25 minutes that realistic to actually get that done. Because one of the things that get people thrown off by not having achieved what it do to do is because like it's not specific enough. Yeah? Like they overestimate stuff.
Also, you have like a SMART goal for every 25 minutes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And that helps with also, I think, estimate what you can actually realistically do in the day. Because like, let's say what I've noticed is like on a quiet day when I don't have meetings and errands to run, I would have about 3 or 4 of those blocks, like an hour and a half of that separately. And then because of that, right, you know, each block is like an hour and a half. And you break it down, like every block is like 25 minutes. So I know in that day that 25 minutes, what can I do? What can I do again? And from there, you can realistically estimate what you can do in a day.
Yeah.
It helps with estimate the thing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would usually start every 25 minutes intentionally knowing, purposefully knowing what
you want to achieve out of that 25 minutes.
pretty much. And then from there, you really just have to work backwards from there. Like you gotta be more resourceful, because like now you're gonna not procrastinate because you know that's the goal. If you go in that way, that doesn't help. You're gonna have to find a different way. And also another mindset is that I try to adopt is like try to get it done rather than get it done perfectly. I try to get it done first, get it done right, and get it done better. So in that 25 minutes, I'm gonna try all the means that I have to achieve it. That might mean that I would cheat a few corners in there, but the main thing is to have progress and achieve it. And I can do it better in next 25 minutes if I want to.
Nice.
So yeah,
Wow, you engineer your day like a software engineer.
Yeah.
I do some of that, but not to the extent that you do. I feel like I have a very overall goal that I want to, I don't know, manifest or whatever you say it. I do think about it as a number one thing that I want to focus on, but it's very broad. Like, and I don't engineer it down to the level that you do. And I think there's something powerful in kind of pushing yourself to really block out times and have more clear, specific goals. And that's something I may have to take out of your book because because I have a problem with time management.
I would say I'm in the same boat though. Like it's not saying this like that doesn't mean that I execute it perfectly. There are days that I'm just like don't follow by the letter, like But what I usually try to do, like another mindset I have is also like there's even you might have a perfect plan, but you might not be able to execute it properly. Life happens, right? Sometimes you don't feel like doing that as well. So those days happen, but I always try to at least do just a tiny bit of that. So even if I wouldn't, that day might not be a 10 out of 10, but I would make sure that I would have a 3 out of 10. For example, meditation in the morning. If I can't do 5, I do at least 1. And like if I can't focus 3 blocks of focus in the day, I do at least 50 minutes. I force myself to do at least 50 minutes. That 50 minutes might be just like put a clock on and it get running, but my mind just racing for different things and not focusing on that. But the intention is like I am building, like again coming back to the progress goal. I'm building that system. So like by me doing that 50 minutes, actually it might not push me towards my goal, but it's solidifying that system that I'm trying to build. So in the future, they're gonna snowball into like any particular goals. So yeah, there's just don't follow that through. But I would do at least. So I think of that like a buckets, the roll of buckets that I had to do. And some days I feel more full. Some days I just like time to drop here and there, but I have it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the power of habits is everything. It's like, how do you build up the system so that you can do the things that you want to do more easily?
Yeah.
It's more easy because you know that this is kind of you step into your day, you kind of are prepped for it.
Yeah.
Instead of starting from scratch every day.
Yeah.
I think habits and systems are very important.
I do think so too. Yeah.
So that's a very, because the question started from how did you land a role at Google, and now we're going back to your mindset and your systems, and I think that's really important for whatever goal. Maybe that's landing a role at Google, maybe that's something else. But going back a bit to that piece of landing the job at Google, how was the interview experience like? Because I'm sure a lot of people watching would be curious, and if you have any advice or anything you want to share about that experience of interviewing for Google and landing the role there and your experience there, maybe as well.
So the interview process, I'm sure everyone can look this up online. It's available. So you go through, as a software engineer role, you go through about 6 or 7 interviews altogether. And they're mainly testing you for your ability to think. So I'm going to go broad first, and I'll go to specifics about what actually being asked and how you prepare for that. But broadly, they interested in knowing your ability to think critically, solve problems, and it's like. It's let me unpack the solving problems because I went through interviewing at different companies, right? Different companies, sometimes they would just ask you very specifically about achieving a task. Let's say build a table, build a chair, right? So you come in and say, oh, you're going to use this tool, that tool. But at Google, the way to think about this is like in the real job, actually, you would not usually be given, unless you're very junior, you'll not be given a very like laundry list kind of thing where you check mark and go to step by step, but you're faced with a problem and you're going to have to understand first how to really understand the problem, what you're trying to solve first, and from there unpack that and then you solve the problem, because if you don't, you might be solving a wrong problem and that's very costly, right? So at Google interview, usually they're not going to be say, how do we build this table, right? They're going to be, okay, now we have a room for you. We want this room to be a place where you can enjoy and relax. That's it. And you have to unpack, okay, what does it mean? Like, does it mean we're going to build a table, put a sofa there, or put a dining table? So you're going to have to ask the interviewer, okay, at this space, like what sort of function? Like, do you have gatherings here? Do you just want to enjoy by yourself and relax after a long day? And then they're going to tell you, okay, I don't have friends coming over. I use it just by myself. So then you can take, okay, now that means you eliminate building a big dining table for 12 people, right? Because that person not going to invite that many people. So then you say, okay, how about a sofa and, a coffee table? And that's where you're going to start understand the problem, right? So they don't tell you, I want a sofa. They tell you, I want to relax in this space. And you have to work out, what do you mean by relax? And from there, you can build all that stuff. So understanding how to build, like say, a table or sofa technically is important as well. But before that, you have to kind of walk through all that stuff. So at the mindset level, they look for that. And also in terms of as a person, they look for people who can collaborate, work as a team. Because that's very important. I think working in a team, unless you're like really smart or like a genius that no one just you possess skills that no one has, that will be a different league altogether. But mostly you'll be working in a team because you need a team to build something big, right? So they look for people who work well in a team. Right? So that's the mindset right now. Coming to the actual interview process, you go through as a software engineer, you go through the first one is like the filtering where recruiter will look at your CV. So you have to make sure your CV is well positioned, telling good stories and what they look for. So that would be a different conversation to unpack now. So you go past that, and they would have first chat with you to kind of understand, whether what you're looking for aligns with the roles that they're trying to fill. Once you pass that, first one is for an interview, a technical one. So it's got to be exactly what I said. It's focusing on algorithms and data structures, and so they don't care what language you use, and again, like don't care what tools you use to build, but like your mindset, because through those questions, they would understand how you unpack the problem, how you solve it, and then that if you pass that, you're gonna have another set of like 4 or 5 of those exact same one, and then the final behavioral interview at the end. Or it depends on how the schedule gets shuffled off. But yeah, that's that long process. So once you got through that, then there's a hiring committee that will look at the feedback coming from those interviews. Not the ones that interviewed you would be having what they do have final say, but they don't make the call. The hiring committee, they don't know your name, don't know you, they haven't met you, but just through feedback. That and that. But yeah, focus. If you want to get into Google, that's the mindset. And as a software engineer, do a lot of practice on algorithms and data structure, because that helps you build your thinking skills. Yeah, a lot of preparation as well. I would say for me, it took me a few months to get there. I did fail the interview at the start, and not the start, but like long time ago before I got in, and that because I was unprepared. Because I didn't have that mindset. It was just more like, I was just trying to find, how to solve a table, how to build a table. So I come into an interview, not asking questions, not trying to understand the problem. I was just like, that sounds like I want to build a table. I just come on and build a table, I'll do this and that. And the interview was like, I didn't want a table. And I was like, that was 25 minutes into it. And I was like, ouch. And I failed at it, and I learned from that. But that, for me as well, also, like, I think I learned from my mistakes, and I think mistakes are an important part of my journey. I think I will always try to make mistake first before I can do something, because I think that teach me a lot as well.
Yeah. You learn a lot from your mistakes and your failures, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And how is the experience like working at Google? Is it what everyone dream of? Is it all beautiful and glamorous? How has it been?
Yeah, I worked at quite a few companies, big tech as well. I'd say Google is like at the top of my list because of the way that benefits and all that. You can Google it up and you can follow that, but also it's just like the environment that you're in. You work with a lot of smart people. Also smart people who don't have a lot of big egos. We still have that though. It's still human, but like less of that, more very collaborative, very fun environment to work with. Sometimes can be relaxed, sometimes can be pressing. It can be like, but I say work-life balance is one of the best ones, if not the best that I've worked so far. But that's again coming from my experience. So yeah, very good, I'm saying.
Yeah, the best experience out of all places that you've worked for?
I would say up to now.
Nice. And because you mentioned building a venture before, I'm really curious whether you're still working on ventures and you're still working on different ideas to start your own business, and whether that's a big part of your day now, or...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, always. Because like, it's working a 9 to 5 is not my dream. Now I gotta say, this is what Google is. It was not my dream job at all. So I got approached by a recruiter first time to come on to work at Google, and I failed the interview, and I hated failure. And so getting back and getting into Google, it was
It's bittersweet.
a lot of that were driven by me. It was like, I want to prove that I could do that. Working at Google is great as well. You get to work on big projects and everything. But I got to be honest, like a lot of that was driven by that experience. Like
You have a chip on your shoulder.
It's chip on my shoulder. Yeah, I was like, I wanted to prove that I can do that, and then that was that. But it was also like wanted to be in an environment where you learn how things are done at the large scale and working with like really smart people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't your dream, and 9 to 5 is not your dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your dream is to own your own business.
Yeah,
I'm
to
guessing.
own my own thing. Yeah, because I believe in like creating values into the world and having ownership of that. So I still work on side ventures. I don't want to say too much now because it's not secret or anything like that. It was just like me. I tend to not talk about it until I've already achieved it. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time outside of work to do my own thing.
To new ventures.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun. It's sometimes it's kind of like taking away too much time and effort, and it's burning me down as well. But it's fun. It has always been a part of me.
Guys, we can expect a project, an app, or something in the future.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Ooh. All right. Trying to go through if there's anything else key.
교수님.
Chắc cũng vài câu nữa thôi. So we've talked a lot about the mindset, the systems that you have, how you build your skills throughout your career to get to the point where you are. For like young international students, what advice would you give to someone who feels a little stuck in their job search, not being able to land that first job?
Right. Yeah. I would say really spend time reflecting on yourself first to understand your strengths and weaknesses in what you want first, because that helps you build a direction. And then from there, really take ownership of your career. You're not gonna get given one. You earn that. If you don't, then you gotta be given, or you're gonna be given that. Someone's gonna plan out your life for your career for you, put you in a 9 to 5 job. I gotta say, 9 to 5 job is not bad. Like, you just may don't want to get into that, but like 9 to 5 job is not bad. It's if that's what you want and that's in your direction, like where you want, like that's good. But what I'm saying is like you really have to be intentional about that. Like if it's 9 to 5 working at big companies, then make it your thing. But really understand yourself first and try to always be mindful about your daily or your goals. Understand your goals, and then take ownership and like don't just wait for job to happen after graduation.
I think one of the things that I see a lot of students do is they get some failures and they get disheartened from it, and they're like, it's because I'm an international student, or these are all the barriers that are up against me. I'm not getting it because of the environment that I'm in. And yes, there are a lot of barriers. I'm not saying that there are not. There are difficulties for international students. But I think that it's really dangerous for you to fall into being a victim. And like, I'm just a victim of the system, and I'm just not given what I want because I fail 3 applications. I think people have failed a lot more than that before they're able to land something. So I think it's really important to keep in mind that failure is really natural. That you have to take ownership. No one's going to give you the job that you want. You're going to have to earn it.
Or maybe someone gives you that, but it's not going to be what you want. It's not worth it for you. And it's like life, it just happens by accident. And if you want to live that way, then your life's going to be accident. Like there's no avoiding that, right? So I think really that what you said is like, don't take things personally. Like, you get what you want because get you what you have is because of who you are, not it's not because the world's against you. Sometimes life happens, shit happens, right? Like, but so what? Like, you have
What are you gonna do about it?
you can do it. Yeah, you have to take the right mindset. It's like you have to take ownership of your life, and life is shit. Life is not fair.
Yeah.
You gotta believe it. Like, sometimes you gotta just put yourself together. And I think having challenges and having like setback is important as well, because that's the
It humbles you.
yeah, it humbles you. And it's the way the universe telling you, hey, what you're doing is not good. It's like feedback in a way, right? So it's what can you learn from that? Are you gonna be beaten down and you're gonna be like just staying where you are, or that's like a wake up call. Something like it could be a good thing as well, because that serves as a wake up call, and then that will spin you off in the right direction. Because I think everything that you get in life is either the actions you've done in the past, your belief in whatever, or it could be that life's trying to pull you back into your direction. Because like if it doesn't work out for you, if you got setback, that might mean that you're doing the wrong thing. And it's like really think about that and go back to where you are, who you really need to be. But go back to your original question. I think there was like a aspect of international student, right? I think the language, just the English, is like really important. I think a lot of people don't pay attention to that. One thing I still do now is try to learn English every week. I still do that. By intentional as well. Like, what areas of this English speaking that I'm not good at? It's either like certain subjects that I don't know how to articulate myself, or things like that. I would try to make sure that I spend time by either listening to people talking about that and writing that, like hear that and repeat that in my own way, own words, and that helps me get not just the language, but also the way that the language is designed, like the way that people speak that language thing. Because
the culture,
I almost feel like I have different personalities when I switch between talking in my own language, like mother tongue, and then English. Because I think when I switched to English speaking, not at startup, but like now, when I do that, I don't think in Vietnamese anymore. It was just like you come in out, just whatever I think, and then coming out, and then the way I think it's just different as well. And then when I speak Vietnamese, it's like it just feel like I'm a different person. So I think you really have to not just be good at speaking the language, but also understand how people in that speaking the language thing. And that's through just like listening to someone speaking about that topic, and then just in your own word rephrase it and talk about it yourself, write down, whoever. And you can learn from there, because you would actually not just learning the language, the words, and the way that they speak it, but also how to actually think. Because when you try to do that, you actually have to think as well, engage your thinking as well, and then that's kind of like embedding into your wetware and your wiring as well. So I think really, as an international student, pay attention to the language, because if you want to get anywhere, and you're gonna have to understand how to play the people game. It doesn't matter whether you're a technical job or not. Like it comes down to people as well, like how you treat people, or how you talk to people, how to get your ideas across, right? So to do that, you have to first get a good grasp of the language, because otherwise, how do you communicate? Right? So I think pay attention to that part, and then all the mindset that we just talked about, like failures is part of that. You need to have the right mindset, take ownership of your life. Don't take it personally. Every day is better. The system. Every day, the right mindset, the right habits, the right system, the right goals. I think just those simple things, they sound simple, but it's very hard to execute in real life. To actually do it daily. But once you have that, it's going to take you places. It doesn't matter what goals you have, it's going to take you places.
I believe that as well. This question is a little different, but do you ever think about going back to Vietnam, or are you ever curious about life in Vietnam, or moving back to where you come from?
Maybe not now, but I think maybe in the future. Depends on. I think I still have, Vietnam is where I was born and raised, so it's still my heart, right? So it's right now, don't think so, but maybe in the future, it comes down to my goals that I set
Yeah.
that time, and like if
Right.
Vietnam is in the path.
Got it.
Yeah.
You've never struggled with the idea of being here or Vietnam, or you've never really felt like I don't know, I miss home, or maybe a part of your identity as a Vietnamese, you feel like you're missing that connection. Do you ever struggle with that? If not, and it's fine. You don't have to. I'm just asking, as maybe international students have that kind of struggle as well, between where they come from and the place they're trying to build a career in.
I think I can sympathize with that, because I have friends, when at uni, who were like, they're longing to go back, and they're longing to be back home and be with different environment. For me, I didn't have that. I was just like,
You want a new experience. You wanted a new country.
yeah.
You want the adventure.
That doesn't mean that I don't miss home though. I do, but not as much as like I would have to be back home every year. It was just like no.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I think it's just because I do see a lot of younger students either longing for home or also thinking, oh, what if there are opportunities at home that I'm more interested in than here? And sometimes they struggle to think, oh, wait, which place suits me better?
Yeah.
Is it because sometimes it's really hard to stay in Australia, and you do have to choose, I guess, where you want to go. Is it here, or maybe there are opportunities that are more suited for them in Vietnam? Yeah, that might be the case, but I think that the goal and where you want to go, it will define a lot of that.
Yeah.
If your goal is to be an engineer, then just try to be the best engineer possible wherever you are.
Yeah.
And I think
back Vietnam or here, it doesn't go back there or just stay here. It doesn't matter. I think it's
what's your goal? Yeah. Okay. My final question is, if not software engineer, then what?
I think when I was a little, back in like middle school or something, I always wanted to be a teacher. I don't know why. A teacher. I think it was coming from also like that's part of me that wants to bring values into the world. I think teaching was one of the ways, right? Like, and also I think people tell me this, and I like to think this, that like when I understand something, when I try to teach them or tell someone about, or like show someone how something done, I think I've got a good way to break it down and then make it very consumable chunks and pieces that help people understand a certain topic, for example. Because that's the process I go through with even myself trying to learn something, is to really understand it at like the intuition level. Not
to be able to teach it.
Yeah, like if you can explain that simply enough, then I think someone's tunes that they was saying something. So I always try to, when I try to understand something, I always try to understand at that level, because if I understand something at that level, I feel like I don't understand at all. So like I feel I want to be able to intuitively understand it and talk about it. So from there, when I tell someone or teach someone about something, people get that really quickly, because that is broken down. So I think maybe I'll be teaching something, teaching, or maybe I like to do painting when I was young as well. So there was that side of me. But I don't, if not so originally, maybe it is something related to art or teaching.
Maybe art. Really? Oh wow!
Yeah.
You have a lot more interest than I thought. But I thought you would only be in tech. But you know what? You could be an artist as well, or a teacher. I think that's what we always think. Oh, this person, one person could only be so invested in one thing, but we're also multifaceted. I think we have to embrace that. There's one thing you have to focus on, of course, but anyone could have multiple interests and other aspects to them. It's completely normal.
Sure.
Okay, that is really cool. I think that hopefully a lot of the audience is able to learn as much as I did from talking to you today. We really nailed down the idea of having a system and a goal, like having a clear goal, owning it, and having the systems to get there, the mindset and the systems, right? We really learned about that today. And thank you so much for coming to talk to us at Diaspora. Thank you.